Well, I saw an item today on the news and they were talking about entertainment in cars. And chap came on, seen him before, can't remember his name now. And he said that they had checked out all major manufacturers of cars, and none of them were including CD players in their cars. It's like a thing of the past now. And the reason being is that now people can have Bluetooth in their cars, hook it up to their their mobile phones, and stream music, etc. I don't know quite how they control it on that, but still. Um, and all sorts of things like that. And some even have these little screens. I don't know how they can operate them in a car, but there again, years ago, um, when we first had sort of entertainment in a car, we had a Mini initially, and it had all adverts on the outside for Marlboro cigarettes. There were decals all over it, and we were paid £10 every month, and we got respray afterwards. That car didn't have, well, CDs didn't even exist then. That car didn't even have a radio or a tape player. So if we went on a long journey, we used to have this mono cassette player and radio, and on the journey we'd have that turned up or down, and we'd have a couple of cassettes, and we managed okay with that anyway. The years went on, and we had some VWs, and they had I think they had Panasonic cassette players, and they were very good sound. That was great. I was real pleased about that. And then in one one misguided point, my wife persuaded us into buying a brand new Fiat Punto, and it had a lovely Grundig cassette deck in it. It was great. The sound was great. We only had the car 3 days, and somebody smashed the window at the side and ripped out the tape player. So then we went back to VW, and we had a cassette player that you could actually remove it if you went out. I suppose you'd have to carry it around in your hand, which is a bit of a bind, but it did have a little handle. The Fiat Punto was cursed because it was one of those cars that gets that cursed award of European Car of the Year. That usually signs its death warrant. Believe me, I worked for Rover and Range Rover in part of the 70s, and they had a model out called the SD1, and that was allocated this award, European Car of the Year. And that sort of sounded the death knell in it. Anyway, years went on. Then we had and when that Fiat, the cassette player that was stolen from that, we were going on holiday 2 days later, so we had to get sort of ghetto blaster in the car on our knees, so we could play tapes in it. Move on a bit further forward, and we had a car with CD player, and I thought that was marvellous. It was a Passat, a VW Passat, and I'd had Passats before, but this was an estate version. It was the second estate that I had of the Passat, and it was British Racing Green. So what I decided to do is I had a man come round, and he fitted this very expensive Pioneer outfit. It was 10 CDs, and that was right at the back of the car. That was fantastic, and I really enjoyed that. And then I came back from trip to America, and my wife had decided to sell the car, so I ended up with a Renault Clio, which had a single CD player in it, but it was not quite the same. Anyway, now friends have told me this. No, can't get a CD player in a car. have to use the USB, or you have to use your phone. So the days of when you could play a CD in the car, or you had them in a wallet or something like that, that's gone. If you're on a long journey, you could listen to an audio. Well, there's 2 tapes in here. Audio tape. This is Rambling Sid Rumpo from Around the Horn. Or you could have a bit of sparky music, couldn't you, in it? With this one, which you'll probably all remember, Saturday Night Fever. Wow, really entertaining. Could be a bit of a bind, you know, sending things forward, sending them back. Some of the decks had this thing where they could detect where there was a gap in between the tracks, so that made it a little bit easier. But when things went wrong and you had the tape snarling all up, oh, absolute misery. During the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of thefts from cars of audio equipment, and I think people used to get really annoyed over that. But of course, then they became coded, and so that thankfully that put the end to that. So there's no market for them. But I do miss the days when you could take out a cassette and just pop it in, sit back, if you were driving, still full control of the car, and listen to the audio. Now I drive a Mazda 6. I mean, it's not a new one, and that has Bluetooth in it, and that was the first time I ever had a car that had Bluetooth, and that's been a bit of a revelation. But it's still got a CD system that takes 6 CDs, and it's Bose. I've spoken about Bose before, and it really is great sound. I would really miss that. Well, there we are. Demise of the CD and cassette, that's long gone. Demise of CD players in cars. I suppose it's moving with the times, isn't it? Okay, let me know if you've got any views on this and about CDs no longer being in cars. I'd be interested to hear them anyway, and I always try and reply, as you will know. Okay, have a great day. Bye for now.